Hello, everyone. So today we got to play Praga. This
Praga Caput Regni.
also known as Praga. Okay, so it is a accent selection point salad game. You are basically a noble family in Prague.
Here's what it says. Charles IV has been crowned King of Bohemia and ruler of the Holy Roman Empire. From his castle in Prague, he oversees construction of new fortifications, a bridge across the Vltava River, a university, and a cathedral rising within the walls of the castle itself. Prague is already among the largest cities in Europe. King Charles will make it the capital of an empire.
Dun dun dun.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're somebody building stuff in Prague.
Yeah. So essentially, there's so many ways to score in this game. Well, let's first quality pieces. So you've got these really cool structures that hold the
they're
one of the scoring mechanisms.
one of the many scoring
two
mechanisms.
different paths you can go up, and one's a castle and one is a wall, or a cathedral and a wall.
Cathedral and wall.
I should say, yeah. And they're really cool looking. Functionally, they're kind of a problem
Because they get in the way.
because depending on how your table's oriented, if you've got a long table, you're probably fine because you can have this down the middle and have two people on either side. But the way we have it with this octagon table, I was behind them, and you can't see anything on what's needed to move up on them.
So from my vantage point, looks awesome.
It looks
I know.
awesome for
I'm
you.
fine with it.
I have no problem.
It's
So
absolutely fantastic.
you can play without them. They're completely superficial, and the board has the same places, so you don't need the 3D. They just look cool.
Yeah, top notch. You also have the 3D bridge that you build. That's super neat. You've got the rondelle that's where your action selection is. You've got a bunch of cardboard pieces as well as wooden cubes, wooden eggs. What are the eggs?
I have
So
no
apparently,
idea.
according to the book, there's folklore that this bridge was actually built on eggs. That people would bring eggs. There's a big paragraph in it, so apparently it's really important to the culture of Prague.
Cool.
So
Well, that's cool.
Like it when
whether
you
it's
learn
any
something from a
truth
game.
or that or not, but I don't know. But
So I wonder if you get pelted with eggs if you, to this day in Prague, if you go across the bridge or something.
I don't know. Maybe they give you free eggs.
Well, that'd be cool. I
Maybe,
like eggs.
maybe it's the Easter Bunny Bridge.
Okay, now we're getting off track. All right, so this game has a lot of really visually cool elements to it. I have to say that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, but it does have some serious flaws with the design. The rondelle is really cool, and they tried to make it even cooler by building in a timing mechanism into it, and that's where the problem one lies. The timing mechanism is you have a cube that sits in a hole that goes around the rondelle, and eventually it falls through another hole that's in the base board. And when that happens, that's when the last of that action for that round, and you move the round marker. Neat concept. Problem is they cut the hole in the wrong place on our board. Hopefully other boards are better, but I doubt that. Most likely, it's
when it does fall in, it's off center.
It's off, and it looks like the action's in the next spot almost. It's really far off. And then, of course, we've already talked about the 3D elements of this. Depending on your table, these just don't work. So there's some problems with the coolness that they designed. From aesthetically, it looks great. Problematically, the way it functions. It's not horrible. I mean,
well, don't forget the player boards are indented.
Cool.
I think these are top notch.
Well,
boards.
yeah. I mean, they did it interestingly though. You had to assemble them. They don't come naturally indented. You have to fold them over. Then the spinners actually hold them in place. And the green one of ours was actually bowed. Mm-hmm. So you probably would have been better to put glue in there when you put it together. I should have actually assembled it. This, I will say, this is a table hog, and it takes forever to set up and to
just because there's so much.
Yeah, there's just a lot of pieces. It probably won't be so bad now, it took a lot to punch it out and get it the first
I
time.
think that's what it mostly was. It took so long for you to punch it out
and
then set it
assemble
up.
everything. And
You just kind of put all that time together. 'Cause
yeah, it wasn't as bad to reset up
Right.
today to restart it, but we already had all the pieces out. But there are going to be a lot.
And
of
this
bags.
is our second playthrough.
Yeah, we played through it. We played through it last night when everyone was about half asleep, and it didn't go over well. So we wanted to give it a fair shake. So we played it again tonight when only one of us is half asleep.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, migraine versus half asleep are two very different things. So excuse me if I feel like, or if I seem out of it, because I'm not feeling it tonight. But so let's give this a score for quality of pieces.
I think, I mean, although I do agree that the cube on the rondelle really, hopefully, it's just, I don't want it to be just your copy being bad, but hopefully it's just,
I
it's
seem to
not
have a
a
lot of
common
those
mistake.
problems.
That's true.
But
But
I
do
can't
have the
imagine
missing
they would.
45 for Marco Polo. You don't have
Yeah.
that. So
Well, I can't imagine that they cut them in my place one off, but
Right,
everybody
and
else's
everybody else's-
is right.
So that I agree with that. But everything else, I mean, even I do understand how frustrating it could be for you on that end of the table. But really, we could have reoriented you and moved you off to the side to be a
Yeah.
little bit
Mhm.
better.
But we
so
just
I
would have
don't-
had to move from your location, and I know that's just.
So I don't know how big of a deal that would be, because I really like the look of the palace.
It
Oh, it does.
So,
It looks
it's
beautiful on the
fantastic.
So cool. I guess my only critique is that although the artwork is great on the thematic side, the cardboard isn't anything spectacular. It's certainly functional and it gets the job done, but there's nothing particularly special about the quality of the cardboard. Overall, I think with that, balance with that, I think I'd give it an 8.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we didn't say is that the cardboard tokens for all the city are dual sided.
Yes.
With different
So much variety.
stuff on it. There's so much variety in the way you can set this up because all of those are 2-sided. You've got 2-sided actions where it redistributes the actions on the tiles.
High replay value.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of variance as you play this, which is really nice. The player board, I thought these were unique.
I thought
player
so too.
boards.
That was pretty neat.
That they're how you decide your actions and you can upgrade them, which I thought was cool.
But that doesn't have to do with quality.
I
pieces,
know,
though.
I know.
Give me a score. Quality pieces.
I guess an 8's fair. I probably would have given it a 9 if not for those issues
I
with
agree.
the whole potentially being in the wrong spot on a mass printing.
Yeah.
And then this just it was nice that they let you have the option of removing them, but even when you have them, it doesn't have all the information. Well, I guess it does have the information. Never mind. I just can't see it because I'm on the back.
So you give it an 8.
I'll give it an 8.
Listen, I'm going to give this a 9. I know what some other things that we've placed an 8, and this I think has more than a lot of those. I love the 3D effective boards. I love when manufacturers do that or publishers do that because it really draws your attention. I
will say this on the assembly of those, it's not like it was hard to assemble them, but they put like all of the lettering and numbering to tell you which ones to assemble together on like one tile, and then all the tiles that go on those, they put, instead of putting the lettering and numbering on the tile, they put it on the border of the punch out. So when you punched them all out, you no longer had what the lettering and numbering
assembling
was.
While punching,
Yes,
you could got lost.
which I definitely was not. So that was kind of a silly idea. If you're going to put the lettering and numbering, especially when you're making it visible, I probably could have put those on the inside to make it not visible, but the coating on the sheen is on this side. So they also put it on the same side as the sheen, which is a little bit strange. I would have chose to put them on the other side so you don't have the letters and numbers on the outside, because I prefer sheen over numbering. I just assumed somebody vandalized the castle and was really into Scrabble.
Okay. So we have
An
8, 8, 9.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, theme.
Well, I mean,
question mark.
yeah, it's if you know the history of Prague, I'm sure this is really cool.
That's interesting about the egg thing, because I didn't know that. But other than that, it's apparently
really important to whoever designed this game, because they really went out to feature the eggs.
Right, but I'm just saying overall, other than the egg being an interesting part of the design, everything else is, I mean, it's just like any pretty standard Euro game. It's kind of, the theme isn't really there.
Well, apparently there's clearly these three things are very important to whoever designed this about Prague. I mean, there's no doubt the cathedral, this walls, and the bridge are super important, and,
as well as eggs.
And the egg history of the bridge. So it'd be interesting. I'm actually curious now to go back and learn about Prague. So from that standpoint, I think it's interesting, and something that's gonna it's gonna have us talking and looking at it, which is cool.
But like all these pieces down here, you don't know anything about this. You're just building. You don't know what you're building. You don't know why you're building it. It doesn't. I mean, there's no theme in this part of it. And other than going down the King's Road, which is the path to the bridge, all the other actions, again, thematically, there's no theme behind the actions. So I think other than this, you're right. It's absolutely there and very apparent. The rest of the theme is very light.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, because we're also including artwork and theme.
Yeah, and the artwork is nice.
The artwork's nice, but it's almost, I hate to say this, it's a little too busy on the board. Because it's very overwhelming when you first look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Now
there's a lot, and not all of it actually means anything. It's just all there.
Yeah, well, and like I know what they were trying to do with all of these cities up here, but for me, it's just an eye clutter.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking for the person who currently now has a migraine, but even
it wasn't. She had it before the game started. It wasn't because of the game. This game does not induce migraines.
No. But I mean, it's just too much.
I can see that.
Yeah.
It's just too much, and I think it can be very intimidating for other players because it just
could
looks
probably
so
cost
busy.
some AP because you're just kind of staring at it and trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, now that the second time I played through, I don't think it was nearly as distracting.
Right.
But definitely the first time playthrough we played with this, it was very much.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So let's give it a score, guys.
I mean, given the fact that I think that they really tried to include the history of the city, and I think the art is appealing. It's just a little overdone. And I think that they definitely featured the eggs. There's no doubt. They gave you the cardboard tokens and then upgraded them to wood.
Right.
So you had both. The boards are really cool as far as the player boards.
That should have went with quality pieces though.
Well, as far as the looks of them and the function of them, I mean, it's clear they're assembling and building, and they've got the cranes on it, which I thought was really neat.
Yeah.
And the rondelle system, I think, is really cool.
But that's more gameplay.
Okay, fine. You just really don't want me giving this a good score, do
No,
you?
I'm fine. Give it a good score. I'm just making sure that we
I'll
put the
give it a
things in the right
7.5.
category.
I'm somewhere between a 7 and an 8 on this one.
Okay, what do you think for theme?
Well, if it wasn't for this, I was going to give it a 6 because I mean, it is cluttered, but overall, thematically, I think it's pretty light. But when we add this, it bumps it up to a 7.
I'm fine with the 7. Honestly, until we kind of dug into it, I didn't really know what the theme was. I knew I was doing some things. But I do think there's some really cool elements. I do think that the art is really well done. Like, I had no idea about the eggs. I was really confused the whole time about the eggs. So I'm like, why do I need
If it wasn't for the fact
eggs?
that I read while I was going through the rules of the sidebar and it mentions just the eggs.
Eggs are a big deal.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, if you don't read the rules sidebars.
I mean, I spent an egg, which ended up with like over 20 points. I mean, that's how big of a deal eggs
I was
are.
assuming there were like egg toll booths along the King's Road. Like, somebody really liked eggs in this city. It was like the currency of the city or something.
Oh my
you
gosh.
want
I know.
egg?
It reminds me of this book series that there's a dungeon keeper that he loves his eggs and like he'll do anything for eggs. So it just reminds me of that.
Here's the victory points.
Miss Village, if anyone knows.
So Baby Yoda, when we go back to that, is our toll keeper.
Yeah, so, but anyway. So, I mean, thematically, though, I think that was my only question mark.
Right.
But now that I have that
Yeah, I'm very
fitting.
curious. I'm going to have to look up definitely these locations and find out more.
Yeah, so a 7 seems pretty solid. All right, moving to rules. I didn't read them.
Yeah, it's a good thing you didn't.
Good. I'm glad I escaped that one.
This is a
they
beast
sounded rough.
It was
when you were reading through it, and I was listening to it. I could not focus on his.
It was rough. I couldn't focus on my reading. I was getting lost.
There's just so much.
There is a lot to it. The setup was really confusing on this. I mean, it's numbered and everything that you would think it would be easy, but we kept running into questions on it, and then it's kind of jumbled the order that they had it, especially when it was just even the player boards, because it tells you to do things in the wrong order, because it would tell you to put all the cubes in, and then it tells you to turn the dials to 2. Well, once you've got the cubes in, depending on the position, you couldn't turn the dials. So it's like, well, you put it in the wrong order. You should have set the dials to 2, then put the cubes in. I mean, it was just some really silly things like that in the setup.
But one thing to consider too that might be part of the problem is translation.
It could have been. It could have been a poor translation. And stuff. I didn't run into anything that wasn't like grammatically correct as far as reading through. I don't recall any. I didn't see any typos that were really confusing. It was all about just the complexity of it. It was almost like it was made more complex to be more complex, just for the sake of complexity. Mm-hmm. It was like, it's not like, okay, this is really functional. I mean, the rondell's cool, don't get me wrong, but it was made more complex by the introduction of the cube with dropping in the hole. And maybe if they thought it was a clever design, which I guess it is, but having it misplaced really caused problems.
The rondell's definitely a clever design, and I'm looking forward to talking about that during the gameplay.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess we should wait till then. And then, apart from that, I mean, it's just there's a lot to the rules. Mm-hmm. It's just there is a lot.
It took forever.
It took us forever, and then it wasn't clear on some of it. What we didn't really get it until we played about halfway through the game, and then the in-game scoring, we were completely. But the first game we played, we were all just like, we have no idea if we're doing the right things, doing well. And I don't think I still know after 2 playthroughs that I got it down fully. Mm-hmm. I got the rules down, I think, now. So they have solo variants at the back, modifications you can do, that's where it gets really cool because you can enhance and flip everything. And then you do want to concern yourself with people who have analysis paralysis or didn't get the rules fully. You're going to have a lot of questions. The game is going to take a long time to play.
And if you're colorblind, your mind will probably melt because there's just so much to these boards without anything differentiating it. So
but I'm going to give those a 6.
Okay.
I mean, they're not horrible, and given the fact that there probably is a translation done, it's actually pretty well translated. It's just
this is almost one of those
issues, and the complexity of it is just killer.
This is almost one of those games that puts you to sleep while listening to Randy read the rulebook.
No, I have that effect on people.
Wait, you didn't fall asleep?
I didn't. I fell asleep during the game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So let's move on to game. Oh, is this a heavy game?
Yes,
for sure.
I wouldn't say it's heavy. It's medium to heavy. I reserve heavy games for like hex-based, like war games and like economy games. Or
you wouldn't consider Terra Mystica heavy?
I would definitely not consider Terra Mystica. I would consider it medium to heavy. I would consider a game like what's the Jamaica? Not Jamaica.
What's that one that took the whole entire pool table and it was the trains?
No, that's not heavy.
That's not heavy.
There
are some heavy train games. The 18XX games I would consider heavy. I would consider like maybe Dominant Species would be heavy. But there's a lot of games that I reserve heavy for those games that are just very advanced. We don't really play many of those.
Why not?
We've got them. We just don't play them that often.
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of them, and that's the kind that Dodd and Sean love.
I don't see why we don't play them more. No, but I definitely think this is on the heavier side, and so I would caution people choose your partners well if you want to adventure into this game
Yeah.
world with
This
not
is not
knowing
one
how
to
to
jump
play.
into it for the faint of heart.
Absolutely not.
And if you do, make sure you have a friend that knows what they're doing, or at least watch a playthrough in the process. So, gameplay overall, there is so much going on. I really think we'll have to keep a brief synopsis. So, basically, you do have a rondelle system. So, basically, there are actions that are in the rondelle, and then there's stationary and there's movable. So, the stationary obviously stay the same, but the movable, so you take the movable action, and essentially the stationary is almost the bonus. And so you can choose which stationary or which movable one you want to do at any given
Because
point.
there's 2 on each one.
Yeah. And you get to choose one or the other, but there may be a cost. So if that action has been recently taken, there's a gold penalty, or if it hasn't been taken in a while, you'll get victory points for actually taking that action. And then so you get to choose one of the 2 actions, and then you get to do the stationary action, or the stationary bonus, really is what it is. It's not full-blown action, it's a bonus. And then so basically the few options are you can quickly upgrade your board, build a wall.
So upgrade the board is upgrading your actions.
Yeah. Your personal player board, you're upgrading those actions. You're building a wall, you're building buildings around town plazas, or you're increasing your production by either stone or gold,
or you're
or traveling the King's Road,
or traveling the King's Road and building the bridge at some point. So that's very basic, the general actions that you can do, and the bonuses ranges from giving you more stone, more gold, to being able to buy an egg, or getting windows that allow you to do additional actions or movement across the board.
And although there's some scoring for upgrading your personal board, there's little. A lot of your scoring is everything else in the game.
Yeah, but there's no cost though for upgrading your actions.
Well, there's not direct cost benefit from the upgrading your board. You get benefit in the sense that most of the upgrades give you victory points or bonuses, but also they raise your education level, which gives you bonuses at the end game, and those proved to be very helpful for me, at least during the scoring both games.
Yeah, I will say that no matter what you do in this game, you're going to hit victory points. Whether you hit victory points effectively or not, I don't know. Yeah. So that's really up to you and your strategy and how you play through. I will say, I think the King's Road, after playing this, King's Road and this board is probably one of the most important aspects, but you do get a lot of here down to this is just
I think you just have to choose your melding of strategy as well. I don't think there's any one path. It's going to be what comes up.
Oh, I know what I did didn't work. The wall upgrading your production thing didn't work.
When we played last night, I did not do anything on the King's Road, and that's mainly because every time that the option was just never really available. Mm-hmm. You guys are taking it all the time.
No, you always left it for me. I always ended up with it.
At the beginning, yes, because I didn't understand how important it could have been. But when I wanted to do it, I could not get an egg for the life of me, and I could not get the road action to be able to do it. And so when I played it this time, I maxed out on the road, and I did pretty good with that. So it got me a lot of cool stuff. So playing the King's Road is important.
Yeah, I do think the King's Road was a lot more important, because I did that at the very beginning, and I felt like I was in a much better place than trying to piecemeal it. So playing again, I would play a little bit differently.
However, I did not get down the full King's Road to get the best benefits at the end, but yet I still won, and it had more to do with what I did with my player board than it did with what I did on the board. So I think you can win with that, whatever strategy. I don't think it's any one strategy. I think it's a matter of what options you have out there at the time, picking the one that's going to get you the best victory point bonus for that.
So that's the puzzle of the game.
Yeah.
It's figuring out how to do, or not how, but when to do.
Right.
Which
and that's what I like about this game is it feels like it's going to vary from game to game.
I agree.
So much based upon the distribution of the tiles. You know, the fact that you can flex everything about the game almost is really cool. Even the action tiles can be flipped over, and on the other side has a different distribution. It's the same 6 actions, but they're redistributed. So, I mean, everything about this just screams that it's not going to get old anytime soon. And that's really cool. what I like about it also is these red and blue tokens, like they net 0 victory points initially, but based upon how far you get up on these tracks,
They could be
these
huge.
can be worth a lot of points. So it's really about how you play your game and what you focus on. So there's a lot of ways to get victory points. I mean, if you get these, or be worth 4 victory points and collect a lot of them, you might not even need any of the King's Road or any of the other strategies, because you could just
but you almost have to do the other things to get those, right? And I think that's the thing is like, okay, well, I'm focusing on this, but to be able to focus on this, I still have to do this and this over here. So it's almost, I feel like there's almost a balancing act of how can I do all the things evenly enough to cap out a score.
But I don't think you have to do everything.
Right.
I just think that you have to focus on like 2 or 3 things.
Right, because I mean,
so like if you wanted to focus on the tokens, that means you're focused on building.
Right.
And you have building on your personal board, building on your wall, but not worrying about these big city buildings, because that doesn't really do it for you. I mean, it does a little bit with your blue, but I mean, it's mainly that it seems like your personal board in this castle.
Yeah, because
The
I mean,
walls
if you
gives you the
do
most.
upgrades, walls, and city building, that's going to get you a lot of the castle movement and the
Yeah,
cathedral
but be able to
movement.
do that, then you've got to be able to produce. I mean,
Right.
It's all just a big balancing, because you got to realize in the
absolutely.
end there's only 6 actions you can take. So if you're talking about focusing on 3, but you still need the other 2 to do the things.
Oh yeah, you're going to have to do some of it. You don't necessarily have to do that and go down King's Road. That's the only one that's kind of an optional thing.
Yeah, but it's so powerful. You're silly not to.
So I mean, it's. I like the dichotomy of all of the different actions you can take, and figure out what is that balancing act. And so far, I don't feel like I've still got the right balancing act, but we're going to play it twice.
Yeah. So playability very, very high. Let's give it a score, guys.
Playthrough number 1, didn't care for it. So I was tired and I was lost during the entire game. I had no clue what to do, when to do it, and I just didn't care for it last night. But tonight, much better. I didn't do substantially better, but I did definitely do better than last night. And I enjoyed it. So like last night, I would have probably given it maybe a 6, maybe a 7. I'm definitely an 8 on this now. I liked it.
Yeah. I'm going to say last night I won, but I have no idea how I did it. I just kept doing things. So tonight I had a little bit more strategy, but I didn't get very far. So obviously I should go with I don't have no idea what I'm doing strategy.
We're going to try that again next time. I don't know what I'm doing. I won't win.
But I think I did enjoy it better today than I did yesterday because I didn't feel so lost.
Right.
Yesterday, I think initially it was very overwhelming and it did feel that way, but it did get better. So for those that initially play the game and they're like, I'm lost, they should really give it one more, they should give it a couple of goes before, deciding its final fate.
And I do want to add in, and I don't think it was, and I don't mean this against anyone in particular, but I think I played better at 3 than 4.
Yeah.
And not because we had people that were slow last night versus tonight. I think that wasn't it at all. It just was flowed better with 3 people.
Yeah, although I think the board's set up better for 4. So it's, because like the plaza, we were building around the empty plaza accidentally when we shouldn't have been.
It just felt right, but that was our mistake.
Well, yeah, but the art on the board lends to that, is what I'm saying.
But it just felt better.
I don't think it really felt that much different to me.
It did to me.
It didn't to me. But then again.
So, you didn't give your score?
I gave it an 8. What were you going to give it?
I would say an 8.
Okay.
It's got all the things we like. It's got the point salad. It's got the playability factor. There's some really cool aspects to this game. So it has everything that we're looking for, but does it really go beyond an 8? I don't think it does. There's something that I can't describe that's not, like, because when you think about, okay, well, what can make it a 9? What can make it 10? I don't know what it is. There's something that it's not.
Even though I enjoyed it, it didn't have like the extreme fun factor, like viticulture does, or something like that, where I just enjoyed it so much.
Viticulture has it.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, of course, it's my opinion. So viticulture is more fun than I thought with this. I don't mean to say I didn't enjoy playing this. I did. It just that wasn't as fun.
Yeah, there's something about it that it almost there's something
it's
missing.
drier, maybe, I don't know.
Maybe it's a little bit drier. Maybe we don't understand. There's something that we don't understand with it that's not connecting to us, but it's still an 8. It's a good game.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, is it good to have on the shelf? Yeah, but
and I'll play it anytime.
Yeah, I mean, I'll play it again. But there's something about it that just doesn't make it higher than that.
Right.
Even though it should. Like, it has all the things we like, and so it's like, well, why isn't it reaching that? And I can't put my finger on it.
Well, I haven't given my score yet.
We'll
So
give
you
it.
have.
I think it's a little better than what you guys think. I when I was going through and trying to figure out where do I want to place this, the thing that came to mind was Bonfire, and I compare the play of this in a way to what Bonfire was as far as the fun factor, the equivalency of it.
I
And
liked Bonfire a lot.
I did not.
Really?
I like Bonfire.
I mean, I know.
I'm just saying, I
that.
think this is at the same level, which I gave an 8.5 to that, I
Mhm.
believe, because I said Trajan was a 9 to me, and this didn't feel like a 9.
Right.
So I don't think it's that much different than you guys. I think it's an 8.5. But I just like the fact that I think this one is going to have lasting potential. I think this will have more lasting potential than Bonfire will for me. Because I think there's so many ways to score. I'm going to be fighting to try to figure out how to get more points in this game. And it's going to keep me interested for a lot longer. One thing I forgot to bring up that I really wanted to bring up in the rules when we went through it was there was a real interesting section on the placement of the cities. And you normally you'll have like placement rules. And it had a section that was supposed to be about placement rules. But all of the rules were saying things that anybody placing any tile would not. It says don't place it in the grassy area off the board. Don't place it. Don't place it where the art is, where the buildings are around the ocean, the river. I mean, it was just really obvious stuff. Don't place it on top of another person's tile. It was like, don't put it on your player board. Don't stick it on your drink. You know, I mean, you could have put anything in there. It was just like, really? I thought there was going to be like, you got to turn it this way or that. Right. No, it was just random things on the board. You can't place it on.
Don't place it on your head.
Well, I mean, I think it's obvious to place it in the head.
Exactly. It was. I mean, I was expecting more to it than that, but I was like, why did you even build this?
It was funny when you were talking about that yesterday.
Yeah. So yeah, there was one chuckle I got out of the rules, and I forgot to mention that when we talked about the rules. But yeah, I think this is definitely one that's going to come to the table. At least for me, I will try to get it to the table more often because I like this one as far as the different options. It is definitely my cup of tea.
You know, and the thing, and that's what I'm saying, it may grow on us because maybe with the first experience and being overwhelmed and maybe just not.
Yeah, I will say I was frustrated the first time we played because I felt like I was the only one that was getting into it at all. And you know, it seemed like it was dragging, especially when there were a lot of downtime between turns and a lot of questions being asked. That you know, it was like,
hey, listen, just because I didn't understand you the first 5 times doesn't mean I'm not going to ask it a 6th time.
Yeah,
you know, and it's not against the game. There's just 2 of us that was really tired last night. When we played this.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, I was not.
And there were a set 2 of us that were tuned out most of the game.
That was also me.
And yeah, and your dad. Yeah. So yeah, I thought it went better this game. I would say it went better, but it's not because it was 3 players. I think it was because there were focused players.
Yeah, we were more involved. All right, well, that's it, right? Everyone give a score?
Yeah, I think we all gave our scores.
Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us tonight. If you liked hanging out, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, leave a comment.
Send us eggs so we can build a bridge.
Yeah.
I mean, I think eggs would be cool. I like eggs.
They probably by the time they get here, they're probably
depends
going to
how
be
they're
rotten.
packaged. No,
well,
because they can last several weeks if they're packaged and cooled well.
Yeah, you know, yeah.
Put some dry ice on it. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, actually, in Europe, eggs don't go in the fridge.
That's true.
Well, apparently they go in bridges. That's...
All right, like I said, goodbye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.